All right, we're back for break. Craig and I just told him, let's not have the show while we're not having the show, because we just continued the conversation while we're on break, and I just want to get some more. So if you guys listened to last week's show or the week before, I can't remember, it was on communication, and I hadn't had a chance to really talk about the importance of listening and the 5 levels of listening. And so I just wanted, there's the first one they say is ignoring, but I don't even count that as a listener, because if you're ignoring, you're not even listening. And then we talk about the pretend listener, where they're like, yes, and you could tell if you're on the phone with somebody and they're like texting or watching their Facebook or watching TV while you're talking, you know that they're not listening, pretend. And then the next is selective listening, which my dad was really good at this, where he'd only tune in when it's something that captures his attention. So if we were talking about, hey, we got pet rabbits, and they're going to have babies, he'd be like, who's pregnant? I'd be like, hey, Dad, hey, buddy, that's how rumors get started. And and then the next level is the active listener, where you are asking, you're listening, you're engaged, but you're waiting for the person to take a breath so that you can jump in with whatever your response is. And so at least you're engaged. Then the next level I call the interactive listener, where I'm asking clarifying questions, but I'm still seeing things through my eyes, where I say, well, that reminds me of a story that happened to me. So where we want to get is the empathetic listener, where I put all my agenda, my needs on the back burner. I'm just trying to see it through your eyes. I'm trying to feel what you're feeling and see it completely from your point of view. At that point, I would say, when you get to that point with a person, it's a friend for life, because who does that? And attention is the greatest gift that you can give anybody. Okay, so now with that thought, and I'll spend more time on that later, but what happened? You're in with the doctor.
We're in with the doc,
yeah. And then so he says,
we've got the pathology results. He's got the results there, and he gives Bridget the result that no one was expecting. He wasn't expecting it, based on biopsy. So he's read out the result, he's given the pathological report, he's explained the pathological report, and he's asked Bridget what questions she has. And she stopped. And she sat there for 7 minutes thinking of that question. 7 minutes. 7 minutes of silence. I've been a financial crime investigator where I've used silence to get the offender to fill the gap.
Yes, it's a tactic I use also, is where I just we call it the pregnant pause. It's a staring contest. I'm not going to talk first, and you're going to tell me everything you don't want me to know, because you can't stand the silence.
So this doctor has held focus on her face for 7 minutes. He's got nothing on his desk other than her pathology report. He's not looking sideways at another file or anything. The only patient he has is Bridget. 7 minutes. And finally she asked the question, and it was one of the questions we had on the list. And the conversation flowed. And as we were leaving, I was really impressed, and I said to him, Doc, 7 minutes is a long time for anyone to go.
That's like an eternity, man. Yeah. That's forever.
It is just awesome. And I said, I'm really impressed. And he said, well, I do that for all my patients, because they need time to process what I've just told them.
Okay, let's hang out just a second. We'll get to it. But this is an important thing. Would you say that again? They need time to what?
They need time to process what I've just told them.
So if we give, and this is part of the communication thing, we're going to give somebody, and change management, all these things, because every time a change comes, it's a different set of news, and we're not ready for it. We need to give folks time to process what it is that they're, and just kind of go through the emotions of it, and not try to stop that.
No.
Isn't that kind of the temptation, though, is to get them to hurry up and get through it, because you've already had time to process it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, and then you hit somebody with news, and then they're just like, what just happened? So, all right, so pick up there. So you tell the doc, you say, man, that's just amazing.
Great job. And he said, oh, that's not the longest I've gone. And I said, how long have you gone? And he said, 58 minutes. And then I only had to prompt my patient, because I did have other patients waiting.
So he waited 58 minutes.
58 minutes of silence. And I'm thinking, I'd hate to interview you.
Yeah, could you imagine if you're
giving me
law
nothing.
Enforcement officers trying to get something?
Yeah, we'd be filling the silence.
Yeah, we would have, because at 58 minutes, I would have broken line. I'd be like, hey, dude, I got stuff to do, man.
Yeah, so 58 minutes is the longest he remembers waiting. With this guy, the caring that he's showing, and just he was present. He was present there. He wasn't prepared to move on until Bridget was ready to ask her question. And that was the follow-up question I had. It's like, why didn't you volunteer information? And he said, until she was ready, she wasn't hearing anything else.
Okay, so now, here's this is the other lesson here. First is, I got to give you time to process. And until you're ready to process and you're ready to move on, what is it? They won't hear anything that you're saying.
Won't hear anything I'm
saying.
So
you could have been talking and it would just went,
yeah. Yeah.
because they're not ready to move on.
Absolutely.
Now, these are two keys in being a people whisperer. That if you really want to help people to, I say get out of their own way and help accomplish the mission or beat cancer or whatever the thing is that's in front of you, we have to help them walk through the process, let them process the information, get through the emotion, and then when they're ready, then they can hear the next thing. But until then, it's falling on deaf ears.
Yeah, and it's not even deaf ears. Those ears aren't, they're not deaf. They're completely switched off because inside, you're still running around, those thoughts are running around your mind and you're running through whatever filter is in there.
So it's all introspective. You can't bring in any more new information.
That's it. Nothing more can come in. And that's what I found in the beauty of working with that doctor. This man had all of his expertise. He's been down there so many times. He diagnoses around 15 women a week with breast cancer. That's his life. And yet he's not treating us as just the next number. He's treating us as the only patient he's got.
That's just amazing.
He's just so focused.
So did you take any of that away and then take it to the crisis room with you?
Well, this was the thing. What I found in dealing with our executive, there's sometimes that phrase of, let's just think about that for a sec, gives them time to pause and think and process. So there's times when people will self-correct. They will move out of an emotional response into a logical response because they've had someone say, can we just think about that for a sec? And it's a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
Right.
You think really quick and they will self-correct or somebody else will volunteer an idea.
On my end, when I teach that, I call it the 2-minute rule where you say, well, how would we do it? I know that's impossible that we would do it. If it were possible, how would we do it and give ourselves permission? But again, it's another great question. Can we just think about this for a sec? So what I'm trying to move is from being a reactor into a responder, and I always talk about EMS and firefighters being first responders, where they're not coming on the scene doing the Kermit Frog and you say, "Oh my gosh, the house is on fire!" No, they actually have a plan to respond, and this crisis management mindset that you took. You took it from work, so I know you do it every day, so it's kind of cheating, but you used it in your personal life, and it was very successful for you.
Well, in the corporate world, there's a problem I find with certain workers at certain levels, and I call it check brain at door syndrome.
Check brain at door syndrome.
Check brain at door. And what they do is, outside of work, they can buy cars, buy houses, they can marry, they can divorce, they can have kids, they can put their kids through college, they can find ways to do stuff. Something goes wrong at home, it gets fixed. But they come to work Monday morning, that brain goes into the box, and I'm just here to do what you tell me, sir. Just let me follow the process.
So there's no creative problem solving, no critical thinking. They're just a drone, a robot.
That's it.
Now you said that you've asked them before. You're like, well, you fix this stuff at home. Who solves your problems at home? So I do. Why can't you do it here? And what do they say?
I'm not paid to do that. Or
I'm not paid to do that.
Or, well, I'm not the team leader here. That's not my job. And there's some people that have been doing the same job for 10, 15 years. And consultants come in to say, we want to make this process better. And their first reaction is, nah, that's just the way we do things around
That's
here.
just the way. So this is an international phenomenon. This is not just an American thing.
No.
All right, so when we get back for break, right, I want to talk a little bit more about this check brain at door. And we also called it learned
helplessness.
Helplessness. And we'll talk about that when we get back. Thanks, buddy.